detailed operating budget and wages and benefits that are a backup to this. So I'd like to just preface by saying that this budget that we're looking at tonight is by no means final. This is a draft. I've met with several of the department heads. They've given me preliminary requests. We've had preliminary conversations, but there's more work to be done. And unfortunately, as we discussed at the most recent public forums, there's not a whole lot of time. So we need to, I think, after we run through this, talk about our plan of how we're going to best, arrive at something to bring forward to town meeting. So why don't we just start off by skimming through department by department, and
are these budgets as submitted by the department heads, or?
Well, you'll notice there's several columns here. The first column is the 2009 budget, and I'll point out that, as you recall, back in March, the voters rejected the approved budget, and we're working on the default budget, which is last year's budget, which was also a default budget, which means that it's really the 2007 budget with certain adjustments. So anyway, after the budget was voted down, the selectmen had to figure out how to transfer monies around to make everything work. And so what you see here is the result of those transfers. It's where all the money landed. And those are the budgets that the department heads have been working with this year. Okay. So
Carlotta, what line's that?
that's the first column.
That's the first one.
Then the second column
That's
is
the result of what you just said, okay.
second column is what
We
has
spent.
been spent through the end of November.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have the December numbers ready, but they're not quite ready yet. In the third column, you'll see the request that the department head brought forward. And in the fourth column, you'll see my preliminary recommendation. And finally, in the fifth column, you'll see the percentage increase that my recommendation is over the 2009 budget. So it says 09/TA change. And then there's a little area for some notes. So let's just start with the executive budget. The executive budget is basically, it's the town administration, my position, the selectmen, code enforcement, and the executive functions. So you'll notice that our total 2009 budget was $100,262, and the proposed budget for the coming year is $110,346. Now I want to point out just a couple things that you're going to see throughout all of the departments. First of all, in terms of wages, these wage line items are not showing any increase for COLA or merit. Now, that is something that we'll be discussing later. You're going to see it all at the end, okay? The other thing I'll mention is that the health insurance premiums for the town, our policy expires at the end of June. We've gotten a letter from our insurance carrier saying that the rate will not exceed by more than 15.9%. So basically, you're seeing an 8% increase in the health. You're also going to see increases in the New Hampshire retirement system effective July 1, which are ballpark going to be 2%. Okay. So that 5% increase that you see in wages and benefits here, part of that's attributed to the health and the New Hampshire retirement. But we can look more at the details of each department later.
So I see a doubling of the first line. Can you just briefly explain?
Yes, the operating, in this particular budget, the operating budget is going up for a couple of reasons. One, there's in here a proposed study of our town's ambulance service. We received a proposal from a consultant with MRI
Yeah.
to look at the whole ambulance service and evaluate whether it's best being done in-house, privately, jointly with another town. There's a number of options there. And the total proposal to study it is much more. This is sort of a phase one approach.
Okay.
And so we've included $3,500 for that.
500 for the MRI study.
And secondly, there's some money included in here to repair that scanner downstairs in the basement that scans and copies the big blueprint size plans. And there's also an increase in the mileage, town administrator's mileage. So, and in the wages, the primary reason for the increase is that, as you may recall, 2 of the selectmen had volunteered to waive their stipend this year. And I've restored it to the level, you know, each of the selectmen is entitled to.
Okay, thank you.
So that's pretty much the explanation on the executive budget.
Is it automatic?
It's still up for debate.
Oh.
All right, there's no activity in the budget committee's budget.
That's very political. I know where that's coming.
Although,
I know what that is.
although I never,
know what that is.
I never really did get a formal request from the budget committee, so if you folks need any more office supplies or anything, let me know.
Yeah, a sheet of paper would be good since I have to go through it.
The town clerk's budget, you'll notice 1% increase on the operating side, 2% on wages and benefits, very minimal. Again, the wage and benefits is the health and the retirement. Elections and registrations, this is a big increase, relatively speaking. We're going from 2,300 to 6,300 for the operating, and 1,400 to 12,000 on the wages. And the reason for this is because in 2007, there was one election. In 2010, it's a state year, so we've got town meeting plus deliberative session, state primary, state election. 4 sessions.
4 sessions.
The other
4
sig-
sessions, 3 elections.
The other significant thing is that in 2007, the minimum wage was lower than it is today. And we pay our election workers minimum wage. So basically, we took the 2007, I looked at 2008, which was a year when we had 4 sessions, divided it by the minimum wage then, multiplied it out by the new minimum wage, and this is what I come out with. There's also increased printing costs associated with, you know, the ballots and the programming of the voting machine.
Didn't we have 5 in?
One year we did.
2008 we did.
Oh, it was in
5
November,
sessions.
there was a November. Okay, so there might
The
be a little
special
wiggle room,
election.
yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
The state primary, the presidential primary, separate.
So there's roughly,
Seems
you know,
fun.
$15,000 increase in that department. The town office, you'll notice, is up roughly $4,000. Most of that is in the wage benefits. It's partially the health and the New Hampshire retirement. Also, the part-time wages for our bookkeeper and accountant proved to be a little bit short this year. So, the tax collector's budget, you'll see, is up just $1,000. On the operating side, she's looking at some additional supplies for mailing out tax bills, envelopes, that sort of thing. Treasurer's budget's level. The technology budget, this one is still in process. The computer committee has met twice. I did get an estimate from Tom Strickland with Sequoia today on a